Dear ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Katarzyna Kubas, ITTF Head of Development, and we at ITTF High Performance and Development have a great pleasure to get back to you in May with our next webinar and with the interesting topic, para-table tennis coaching. Before we start, I want to introduce you to our webinar code. But in fact, I would like to encourage you to take active part in our webinar and please send your questions to our today's guests, and you can do it through the question and answer section, which you can find on the right side of your screen, and we will try to respond to as many as possible in the question and answer part of the webinar. Thank you very much. Over to the introduction of our today's guests. We have a great pleasure to welcome Ela Madejska. She is the current national coach of the German para-table tennis team, a former national coach of the Polish para-table tennis team, achieved 2 gold, 3 silver, and 3 bronze medals with the Polish para-table tennis team in Rio 2016 Paralympic Games, and achieved also several medals in the para-table tennis World Championships as a coach. Over to Gorazd Vecko, a performance director of British para-table tennis team, achieved also Paralympic gold medal as a coach representing 2 different countries, Slovenia and also Great Britain, achieved gold medal and 2 bronze medals in the recent para-table tennis World Championships in 2018, won European Championships in 2019 with the British para-table tennis team. Over to Alois Rosario, head coach of Australia para-table tennis team, achieved silver medal in Rio 2016 Paralympic Games as a coach, achieved 2 bronze medals in the para-table tennis World Championships in 2018, and achieved 4 gold medals in the recent Oceania Para-Table Tennis Championships with Australian para-table tennis athletes. And it's really only a small part of their achievements. Our dear guests, thank you for being with us today and will to share with us your experience, knowledge in regards to the para-table tennis coaching. And last but not least, I would like to introduce you my colleague Omar Rifat, who is the ITTF Development Officer and who will start off our panel discussion today. So over to you, Omar.
Thanks a lot, Kasia. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar about para-table tennis coaching. Thanks a lot to our amazing panelists for making the time to be with us today, of course, at this busy time for the preparation of Tokyo Paralympic Games. So thanks a lot. I will kick off our questions. Since we have with us 3 recognized coaches from para-table tennis world, of course, we want to find out a bit how it all started. So I will direct my very first question to Ela. How did you get involved in para-table tennis?
Okay, so as it happens in life, coincidences changes reality. And, after my study in Academy of Physical Education in Warsaw, later on in Gdańsk, I worked a few years for the Polish National Table Tennis Federation as a national junior and cadet girls team. And later on I stopped, and then my mother had a stroke, so I have to carry of her. And it's a life. It was really difficult for me. So to have a chance to a little bit relieve the stress, I went to my Academy of Physical Education because they start the new sport section for the integration table tennis. I want to play a little bit for myself. And the truth is, after a few times, it happened, and I realized I can help the people with the disabilities. So in exactly few weeks, I started to be the coach for this club, integration club in Academy of Physical Education. And later on in 2002, I took the position of head coach of Polish national table tennis team, and that's it. And now I am still in a business, let's say, and I'm involved in working with disabled players. But now I am in Germany and I'm working with the youth players.
A lot, Ela, for sharing with us your inspiring story. I want to now ask Alois the same question. How did you start being involved in Borah table tennis?
Yeah, thanks, Omar. Yeah, I think just lucky again, just one of those things. I was in the right place at the right time. It was about 2011, and Roger Massey, who was the national head coach at the time, and Sue Stevenson were looking for someone to help out with the coaching. I happened to have some spare capacity and time at that stage, and hadn't ever really thought about coaching para athletes. Had always been involved with able-bodied athletes at Olympic and national and state level. So when they came to me, it was, I thought maybe this is an opportunity. As I said, I had no experience at all in coaching para athletes, and so I thought, well, maybe it can be something that will broaden my horizon and my experiences as well. So I was very pleased to be able to take that on and start as the assistant coach with the national program at that stage. So I mean, table tennis, para table tennis in Australia was quite young, is still quite young. So there was a lot of growth and a lot of capacity to grow at that stage.
A lot, Alois, of course, but you guys are doing a great job in regarding to growth and, of course, in your development area. I want to ask also Gorazd the same question. How did you get involved in Borah table tennis?
How I did get involved in table tennis, in para table tennis, was it was a little story because obviously I didn't know about para table tennis, nothing in year 2000. This was before the Paralympic Games in Sydney. The MPC of Slovenia was asking the Table Tennis Federation of Slovenia if they have any coach who will try to coach athletes for the Paralympic Games in Sydney, that they get a wild card position, and one player was qualifying on the last position. This was Andrea Dolinar, female class 4 from Slovenia, and Sasha Šuligoj, class 6 from Slovenia. And they say, we think the right person would be Gorazd, because he's taking all the challenges on always, because they know that how I am. And I say, okay, come on, I will be honest, obviously. Before I went to the first training, this was 8 months before the Paralympic Games in Sydney started, 2000. I was really nervous. I'm still nervous when I'm talking about this, because it was really, I didn't know this day we changed. And I went to the first session. I saw what we need to do, how we need to do, how to approach training on the way. And I said, guys, we have 6 months time. And they say, and I forgot to say, the MPC of Slovenia say, look, there is no expectation. We want only to take part and to be there presented as a country. And I said to them, I don't think so. You have the right person. If you're asking this, then I will not take the job, because what I'm trying to do is that athletes should perform the best way they can, how much is possible. Obviously, we started to practice. We went to Sydney, and this is why I stayed, because Andrea Dolinar, Nobody was counting on her, and she was playing in the semi-final, and she lost against Sikora from Germany, which was on the time number 1 or number 2 in the world. It was 2-1, really tie match. And then obviously we had the bronze medal match to play against Gorazd from Swiss. And obviously we played, and there was a situation that it was 1-1, and we was leading. The Swiss girl was leading 2016. I take a timeout and I say, look, we changed a couple of tactics. We're coming back leading 21-20 match points, and you will not believe it, because I still don't believe it today. The other player had 3 edge balls in this game, and we lost 24-23, 22. And I was so angry that I say, this cannot happen again. I went back to the village, and I was really out of anything. And I say, I cannot leave it there. I will be back. And I say, we will come back in Athens. That's why I changed totally my life, working only for para table tennis, doing everything for my heroes, for my athletes the whole time. And yeah, we take the first gold medal ever for Slovenia female in Athens, with a gold medal with Matea Pinter. And look, we're talking 2021, and I'm still involved in para table tennis, because this is my passion, this is my energy, this is my life, and I will do everything for my athletes always. And yeah, that's why I'm still staying in para table tennis, and I hope still long to go.
Thank you so much, Gorazd, for sharing with us such a great story. Now over to Kasia for the next question.
Yes, thank you, Omar. It's actually always interesting to hear how the top level coaches started in the field, because in fact all of us were beginners one day, right? But let's stay a little bit with the coach's profile. And since we completed the first round, first question with Gorazd, I would like to stay with you. What, in your opinion, are the additional skills, knowledge, or competences that coaches of able-bodied players need to earn or have to possess to coach para table tennis athletes?
Yes, this is a good question, because, like you say, we have a lot of everybody coaches, and I will say this, that for everybody table tennis, obviously you can go to a library, you can get a book, and you have the exercises there. For para table tennis, there is nothing that you can learn from books or whatever. You need to be adapted. You need to be a coach who is adapting to, I will say, 11 different classes, female and male. Because, like I say, you cannot go to the session and to have a session, one exercises for everyone, because you have different classes, different muscles are working by athletes. I think so. The best one to learn is that you need to take athlete to athlete different ways, how you want to do it, what you want to do. Also, it's not about the coach, how he would like the athlete to play, but what he is able to play. Because also we see a lot of athletes are watching YouTube channels, watching Jan Žike, watching all the best everybody players, and they want to play the same level. Obviously, this is not possible because they have restrictions. And as a good coach, obviously, you need to learn also to be from the medical side, that you know which muscles are working, what is the best way that the athlete can produce, how he can make topspin. You need to adapt all the shots. It's not about the same technique for everything. That's why a coach needs to adapt the technique on the athlete and not on the coaching, how he would like them to do it. Also, then you have a big thing in the coaching is, like I say, it's the respect and belief athletes to coach. I think so it's even more in the para athletes than everybody athletes, because you are dealing with disabilities from the athletes. And yeah, you need to know what they can do. It's not the game, but then you need also to choose the right material for the player. If you give a quick material to a player and he cannot react very quick back with direction, obviously he will always lose the game, and maybe he will even, or she will not understand why. That's why you need to adapt all the techniques, all the training athlete to athlete. Is this a wheelchair athlete? Is this standing? And what I see a lot of everybody coaches when they come, they try to have the same session for everyone, and we know this is not possible.
Thank you. Very comprehensive answer and interesting, but I would like to also ask Ela and her point of view on this topic.
I 100% agree with Gorazd, and in my point of view, it's everybody who knows table tennis. I mean, able-bodied coach for table tennis can work with the disabled persons, because it's only question how they can adapt themselves. For me, the most important thing is open mind. Means everybody, every coach have to think about how to use the disability to playing, to do the really good hitting, or to improve the footwork, even for with the persons who walk very, very bad. So that's open minding for me. It's really, really important. And of course, we need to know, I mean the coaches for the para table tennis, need to know the rules, because there is a few modifications regarding the competition, especially for the wheelchair users. It's a correctness service, so that's important. But the truth is also, if somebody is afraid, then don't even try to work with the disabled persons, because it's a really, really perfect, in my opinion, to do this, because it's always very, very interesting. Every single person is different. Every disability is different. Even if the same classes, we have absolutely different possibility to use the disabilities of the players. So then we have to find a way how to have a chance to play better and better. So important is of course their equipments, but not only table tennis equipment, it's woods and the rubbers, but also equipment like sticks or prostheses, and of course a different kind of the wheelchairs. So it's a lot of the different areas which makes the coaching for para table tennis players very, very interesting and never boring.
Thank you very much. We already receive lots of significant informations from both of you. While I would like to add, Alois, do you have something to add on top of it, or share with us your point of view as well?
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree more with both Gorazd and Ela. I think the one thing that changed my perception of coaching para athletes was when we were going to write some coaching courses for inclusive coaching here in Australia, and I went to a wheelchair athlete, not table tennis, and I said, we've got to write this, inclusive coaching unit, and I don't know anything, and what do I do? And he said, I mean, have a think. If a player came to you that had poor coordination, or if a player came to you that was highly talented, what would you do? And I said, well, I'd do this and I'd change this. And he said, that's all it is. It's just about how you adapt to what's presented in front of you, to the person in front of you, to the player, and there's no different skills as such that you need. It's just the skill of being able to look at your player, look at your athlete, look at the limitations or the exceptional abilities that they have, and then utilize that. So I think for me, again, I think as Ela said, don't be afraid of thinking about coaching athletes with disabilities. It's as a coach, you have those abilities already because you've already done that with a whole lot of different athletes, with from children to beginners to talented to someone's got a bad backhand, someone's got a bad forehand. How do you adapt your coaching and your training for those players? Exactly the same. It's just look at the person, look at the player, and have empathy with what they can bring to the game, and then the rest becomes easy. It's just getting over that initial fear or worrying about, and sometimes it's about worrying about saying the wrong thing or asking the wrong question. A lot of the athletes are very open. Just ask them. Speak to them as you would any of your athletes. Ask them what can you do. Can you move your arm in this motion? Can you move this way, that way? And I think once you get over that, and once you start to delve into the person, then you can start to roll with your coaching and trying to develop the player.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this life example. So as we know from you, understanding communication is so important in cooperation with athletes. Thank you. And I will now over to Omar for the next interesting question.
Yeah, very good point, Ela and Alois and Gorazd has mentioned, of course, how to adapt to the para table tennis athletes, and how to start working in this kind of conditions. Planning training in para table tennis have several factors affecting it, taking into account different classes and different conditions. So I would like to stay with Alois also in this question. What are the main differences between para athletes and able-bodied athletes in planning the training? What to pay attention to when preparing such plan?
Yeah, so I think in that group training situation in particular, it's making sure that you are individualizing your training. You can't tell everyone, okay, we're all going to do footwork because the wheelchair athlete is here, and another athlete is there that doesn't move much, and another one is over there that moves like the wind. So it's about thinking about each athlete that you're working with, and tailoring your program to that athlete. I think that's really the main difference. Again, then the rest is similar. It's about delving into what that athlete needs. Do they need to improve their service or their return of serve, or do they need to improve their flick, or do they need to improve their mobility? And then you plan your training similar to how you would with a group of able-bodied athletes or anyone, and really in any sport. So it's about first just looking at that individual athlete, and more so in that group situation. How can you make it specific and relevant for each one of those athletes, and not give a broad overview of let's all do this, and three athletes are sitting there looking at you saying I can't possibly do that. So yeah, just individualize, I think, is the biggest difference.
Alois, great points actually to take care of, and of course to be in our minds in planning trainings for para table tennis. I want also to redirect the same question to Ela. In your opinion, what are the main differences between para athletes and able-bodied athletes in planning the training, and what to pay attention in preparing such plan?
I can say about my experience, and my experience is very similar to Alois. The plan for me it's exactly the same. Means in our plan have to be the goal, and then we have to know what to do in physical preparation, technical preparation, tactic, and then also very important the recovery. And if we understand how to prepare it and with whom we will work, then it's exactly planned for this or that player. Because it's, Alois said, it's individualization is so important. Yes, but of course we can work in a group and we can use even the same exercises for the different players just to modify it, and both of them they can use it for their game. But I agree. It's a very good if we can really play training, practicing very individually with the players. For me, when we begin with the players and before the season, always the physical training is very important. So we need to have a base, and we need to have agility, speed, power, endurance. Without it, it's for nothing, because we can work on a technique and later on the tactics, and without the base, it couldn't work. So that's important. If we think about the differences, for me there is no difference. It's only something like we should much more thinking about the health, about the recovery, means maybe relaxation. It depends of the people, it depends of the players. Of course, it's a very important diet, life habits, and the other things. Yes, because in such persons in the lower classes, especially class 1, 2, or 6, they need a much more attention. So we have to prepare the plans really, really carefully for them. But plans are exactly the same like for the tables. I do this.
Yeah, of course, great points, and I would say very great specific points you have mentioned that we all should take care of. Thanks a lot. I will.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Now I will take the next question to Gorazd. Exactly. Thank you for insightful answers of Ela and Alois. But besides the training camp, actually taking into account, Gorazd, your great experience also in organizing the biggest para-table tennis tournaments, we would like to take an opportunity to ask what are the differences in regards to the planning of the competitions and what to pay attention when preparing such events for para-athletes?
Oh yeah, this is a good question, especially in this moment of time before the qualification tournament in Lashko, Slovenia. Yeah, obviously what we try to do always is to do everything right for all the athletes and participants which are coming from different parts of the world, and that they could feel so much as possible at home, to have the right food for everyone, to support everyone and to help everyone that they have the best possible conditions to play matches. But I think so it's also, like I say, when I see so much players in a tournament, it's playing my heart, I will always say, to see so much different countries, different athletes coming from across the world. And we are talking here about wheelchair athletes, standing athletes, which is really trying to fight to come to a small city, to Lashko, to Slovenia. And it's really, I keep them always saying that they're always my heroes because of this, what they're trying to do. And they're really athletes, sport athletes, is incredible. But the difference, obviously, is that we need, for example, in Slovenia, when it's the Slovenia Open, with more than 360 or 70 players, obviously the difference is that we play in 4 days 1,500 matches, which needs to play on time, because if you will be late with a lot of matches, then it could be a chaos. Which in Slovenia, I can say we try to do it the best way we can, but still there are some delay matches because it's really difficult to do everything right in a tournament with so huge numbers. I also know that ITTF will try to change these tournaments to have lower participants in the tournaments, that it will be a little better controlled. But if you ask me the question, what is the difference, is the logistic. For example, in Slovenia, they try to have more than 40 vans and buses for the logistic to go to pick up to the airports everyone who is arriving, and pull out that a lot of people, participants, are coming across Europe with the cars. And then you have obviously a lot of work for the umpires, because obviously they need to be on the table almost the whole days. And like I say, for one umpire, they can be, for example, 10 matches or 12 matches, and this is half of the day. That's why I think so, and that's why I will always say that the organizers in para table tennis, not only Slovenia, but everyone who is organizing a para table tennis tournament, is doing a great job, because it's really, really complicated. It's really, really difficult. And on the end, I'm really proud to be part of para table tennis and to be the wider family of table tennis, which is saying para table tennis, because what everyone is doing for para table tennis is amazing. And to have tournaments like these, I would really like to invite anyone who was never part of any para table tennis tournament to get there, to see how this is done, and which kind of performance of the athletes we can see there. When I see a full hall, it's not important, it's Slovenia, it's Slovakia, it's Poland, it's wherever the tournament is, other parts of the world, is that I say to myself, how this is possible, how we did do it. Obviously, we have done it with the help of ITTF mostly and everything, but the tournaments are so much high level that I can tell you also a story that it was a true story. It was happening about 12 years ago when we tried to sort it out, all the tournaments to be better organized because of the athletes that they deserve, better conditions and everything. We get a lot of referees and umpires who was the first time part of any para tournament. It was Italy, it was wherever it was. They say, how you guys can do it? These tournaments are better organized than everybody. Because if this would happen, it would be a disaster there. And I think so the big thing about para table tennis family is that we have a big heart for everything, that we want to do everything so great as possible for the athletes and the participants. And I, for example, I know that I can approach anytime Ela or Alois or anyone who is working in any of the team for para table tennis, and they will try to help even to our other athletes, because we are a big family, and I'm really proud to be part of this. And the passion that we have is about the athletes, not important from which country they're coming. We try to do every time the best is possible for all athletes across the world.
Thank you for sharing the story, Gorazd. And yeah, we believe it required a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of passion to run it, and to run it that much successful as it's going on. And of course,
can I jump in? Can I jump in? I think so. One very important point about this is, if everybody coach, if you're not passionate about table tennis, and if you're not passionate about para athletes or disability, don't get involved in this, because you need to be passionate. The passion is the first thing that a coach needs to do. Why? Because if you're passionate, you will try to do your job 150%, but not for yourself, but for athletes, to improve the athletes and to be there for them whenever they need you. It's not only a session, 2-hour session in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, but it's a 24-hour session per day that you will be there for athletes and support them. And then you're on the right way, that you are coaching the right way the athletes and para-athletes.
Thank you for sharing. Agree, yeah. I would like to direct my next question to Ela and redirect it a little bit towards the technique. And so we know that para-table tennis athletes have a wide range of strong areas which they could develop throughout the years due to their type of disability. And how to adopt or transform a particular technique according to the strengths of the athletes and the range of movement.
It's really not.
Ela is muted.
Yeah, now?
Now it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I just start to say the question maybe it's easy, but the answer is very difficult because there is not only one way, like in all table tennis and especially para-table tennis. So it's like I say at the beginning, we have to modify everything and we have to have an open mind. Then it's a time to experiment, to check what our player can do, what is absolutely impossible, and what is possible but not now. So it means if, for example, the strength of muscle is not good enough, but the muscles are working, then we can practicing and we can prepare the player to use this or that kind of technique. But that's something important. Creativity means I always laughing. It's a snake moving. It's not a straight way. It's like a moving snake. We have to try to change our meaning. We have to ask the players how they feel, what's happened when we try to do this or that. So creativity, checking absolutely different. Sometimes it looks like crazy options, but it's good when we try to do this. And it's a really long time to experiment. When we found a good possible to use any good technique which is correct, means correct for me now it's something like send the good quality ball on the opposite side to have to make a opponent in a trouble. Then we are working to improve this technique and to be sure it will be good placement and quality means speed, spin, and so on. So it's I can't say only it's a point A is a this, point 2 is a this, point 3 is a this. If you do this 3 points, it's easy and every single disabled player can play on a top level. Sorry, no, I have no such receipt.
Of course, understandable, and we understand also it's very complex.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ela, for an answer. And I would like to address the same question to Gorazd and hear your opinion.
I think so. Most of all, I think so. It's very important, like Ela was explaining, athletes need to understand their bodies, what they can produce, how they can produce, what they can do. Then obviously it's very important to have the right team of people in the supporting staff, which is even doctors, then physiotherapists, psychologists, everyone who to see how we, with SSC coach, how we can improve any of the muscles if it's possible. And to go this way, because obviously we could see in our program, for example, that when players are joining in the beginning, it was really difficult to get them, I don't know, from one side to other side of the table. When you start to be more, I would say, professional and involving a lot of more people in these conditions, a lot of more supporting stuff, you can see that athletes can start to improve, really improve about their moving and everything. And this is the key thing, because like I say, in the beginning, it's like everybody, the same. It's in everybody, obviously, if you have the right team behind with SSC coaches, with psychologists, with physio things can improve. What we see now, it's obviously para table tennis is growing up unbelievable for the last 15 years, I will say. Every country is getting more and more professional with more and more professional people around. And if you have the right people in the right places, I think so you can see really huge improvements of the athletes, even in movement. And like I say, obviously also, for example, classifiers can see this. And that's why it's very also then a problem that we need also to be careful that we don't punish the best players when they're improving in these cases. Because, like I say, players can improve. I saw it with a lot of my players, for example, and I saw a lot of players from other countries, how much they can improve in speed, agility, technique, and everything is making them better players. But this is not making that you're changing their disability. It's changing it's changing their private life, it's changing their sport and everything. But this is how we're doing. And like I say, with the right stuff and supporting stuff and the right planning, I will say, like Ela is saying, that we need to be careful how we plan this. For example, how we do this is in the beginning, we have a couple of months only physical preparation, not so much technique on the table, but more physical preparation. And then closer to you going, we have, for example, we're doing green, amber, and red for physical preparation. That you're not overkilling the athletes also, because we still need to know we're working with para-athletes with disabilities. And if you try to do too much with them, it can get a contra effect that it will not help them, but it will worsen them. That's why you need really to adapt and to get so much as possible information and stuff working with them from doctors, from physiotherapists, from everyone, and to get the feedback, because what coaching are doing wrong a lot of times is that they think they know everything. You need to be really open minds to work with the supporting stuff. And if you think you know everything, then it's time maybe to stop it, because obviously we are trying to learn on daily basis. And if somebody saying to me, look, Boris, we need to change this because, and if I get some reasons why, obviously I will listen. I will not say no, because I'm saying this needs to happen. You need to listen to the athletes. You need to listen to the supporting stuff. In this case, I think so athletes can improve massively also about the movement technique and whatever needs to be better players on the table or off the table.
Thank you for very valid advices to the coaches as well. Over to Omar.
Regarding how can we use how can be open mind, how can we trust our supporting stuff. My next question is for Alois. Of course, we know training class 11 can be challenging because of the struggle with the tactics and strategies. So how can you overcome these challenges and motivate class 11 players to get the best out of them?
Yeah, thanks, Omar. I think it's building on the same theme as coaching any player. You know, it's building that trust first, and then the clarity of communication. So, I mean, you do that with any player, but I think with the class 11 players, that sometimes can take a little bit longer. And I think you need to be a little bit more careful or wary of how you're doing that with the class 11 players in particular. You know, that trust can take a little bit longer because they're uncertain. You know, and we're talking about such a wide range of people here and abilities and things as well. But you know, that trust can take a little bit longer in a lot of cases. And then I think the other point is with the communication. You know, that clarity of communication can be really important. You know, again, we talk about communication as coaches in general, but when you're dealing with some class 11 athletes, then that clarity needs to be even better. You know, thinking about some experiences I've had. I remember coaching one class 11 athlete, and he was playing against a defender, and the defender, you know, started playing a lot of no spin. So, you know, at the end of the game, at that stage, we're going to talk to them after each game. At the end of the game, I said, now he's playing with no spin. So, of course, then the other player changed and started playing with some backspin. So every time they played backspin, the ball went into the net, and again into the net, and again into the net, and for 11 points the ball went into the net, because they didn't understand to be able to change, because I had said they're playing with no spin, so that means every ball now is coming no spin, so that's how I play. So it's just being really clear that, and often, for them it's black and white. They're playing with no spin, so that's all they're doing. And also, another example was I want you to serve, long to the forehand, meaning, sometimes I want you to serve long to the forehand. Next game, every serve is long to the forehand. So it's, again, just that clarity of communication to how you're getting your message across, and making sure that they understand what you're saying, and getting their feedback, trying to build that trust over that period of time, developing that communication over a longer period of time, so that they understand what you're meaning, and so that you learn the best way to communicate with them as well. Sometimes it'll be through pictures, sometimes it'll be through verbal, through using different types of language. But I think you really need to understand what that is, and to be able to then provide that to that Class 11 athlete. And I think, again, just going back to my earlier point, Class 11 is this, again, there's such a broad range, same as all the other classes. There's different levels of disability there within the Class 11s. So again, you need to understand your player, what they like, what they don't like, how they communicate, what they're actually taking on. Some athletes, don't like you even touching or getting close to them. You have to understand that in the middle of a match, if you try and touch them, then something will flick, and that's the end of the match for them. So it's just understanding your player. As I said, it's similar to coaching any athlete, but it's probably a little bit more touchy, I guess. And you need to be a little bit more specific and build that trust over a longer period of time, and build your communication skills a little bit better.
Alois, of course, having this clear communication channel, being so clear with your players, and of course, the trust you mentioned is very important, especially in this class. My next question now is for Ela. Talking more now about our younger players. We lack the presence of younger players on the para table tennis international stage. Can you share with us a bit about talent identification among para table tennis athletes? What are the main qualities you look for in those athletes at young age?
Okay, but for me it's better to say not a young athletes, but new athletes, because in para table tennis very often we have not 8, 9 years old players or 5, 6 like in able-bodied table tennis, but much older, but still they can play. In my opinion, almost 100% of the persons who can start with a table tennis can start a para table tennis can play. But question is why and how they will play on this or that level. I think even if somebody is not so talented, we we have to work with them, because we need the players who can be like a ladder step for the others. This may be a little bit more talented. So as every single sport, the ideal adept is the one who learn very easily and very fast and can remember permanently. But it's only theory. Especially for table tennis, this person should be also very good anticipated movement and a good active motor visual perception. So everything is very important, but there is not a perfect world, so we have no chance to expect we found a perfect player. We have to try to find the persons. For me, the most important thing is volitional qualities. They are most important to me. Motivation to work, willingness to learn, patience, regularity. So including, of course, the sports, because this is possible to develop. Without it, we have no chance. If we found persons who is very, very good, flexible, and coordination is perfect almost, and this person will come to us once a week or 2 times in a month, it's for nothing. I think we need the persons which are motivated. Then we can prepare them, and we can practice really on each single area of the table tennis, the physical preparation, and of course technique, different kind of technique. But we need somebody who believes in oneself. Of course, we also can work on it. It's work for the psychologist, or the mental preparation is absolutely necessary for our table tennis. But we should find the persons who can, even if they are not very good prepared, I mean, they don't know all the techniques, and their techniques are not on a perfect level. But if they can use almost 100% of their skills during the competition, means if we found the master of the game instead of master of training, that's absolutely perfect for me. Then we can work with such person very easily, and even if it will be not a gold medalist for Paralympic Games or the gold medalist in World Championships, but for sure it will be a very, very good player. So that's my opinion about when I think about the, let's say, finding the talented persons for para-table tennis.
But Ela, of course, you've shared with us great ideas about talent identification, and I believe it will be very important for all our audience today. Now I will pass it to Kasia for the next question.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you, Ela. Insightful answer. I would like to actually ask a similar question to Gorazd. We know some names of young British, I would say, stars, and I would like to ask about your opinion about this kind of talent identification and searching for the such talented players the young age.
Yeah, I think so. This is everyone who is trying to do the best is possible to do. Obviously, how we do this is we have a pathway program. We have the performance program. We have the pathway program, which is responsible for young athletes, and we have a great pathway manager, which is Sean Mappers, which is doing a great job with looking and finding, first of all, I will say, young athletes to get part of para table tennis, because we need to know that we are competing in one sense against a lot of other para sports in the country, like swimming, athletics, and everyone wants to take the young athletes away so much as possible. And yeah, when you get a young athlete, obviously you need to do everything right. I think so. It's from the beginning. How we do it is to introduce the young athletes to the program, and that he will be motivated to stay in the sport and try to play, first of all, obviously, table tennis, if he can see if he have a passion and everything. How we do it is, obviously, we're trying to visit the hospitals. We try to visit clubs in UK. We try to be in connection with the home nations table tennis associations to see if they have any disabled athletes that that we didn't find them yet, to be say, or to recognize them. Because I think so in big countries like Great Britain, the problem is still that we know there is out a lot of athletes, para-athletes still, that maybe we could not find them yet, that they're still playing in some clubs, disabled athletes, and that's why we tried the best to make researches and to find athletes. And then obviously when you get the athletes, then obviously we try to have them in the pathway program or futures program to see if they can develop. Obviously we give opportunity to all the athletes to come to Sheffield. I think so the most important thing is that if they would move to our center, which is in Sheffield, and like Ela was saying, to get a daily training, not once or twice per month, because this is really not anymore working in para table tennis. This could work 30 years ago, but it's not working anymore because every country is going more and more professional. And when we see that the athlete is improving, obviously, Sean Mappers is taking the athletes to lower factor tournaments. And when they go to lower factor tournaments and they start to win some matches, then we see when a player like this is ready to go to the highest possible tournaments, which is factor 40 tournament. Because I still believe to take not experienced athletes to the best tournaments the athlete could lose motivation when they start to play against the best players. That's why we try to work very carefully to develop the athlete to some kind of level that she or he can see it, and then to take them further. But like I say, for us, I will make it short. It's really important that we get the communication right with the home nations, that we get the communication right with the hospitals, with all the clubs around. And then obviously we know that young athletes cannot come to practice full-time in Sheffield in the beginning, but we try to find them a club where they're living near, and that then our pathway manager is in charge of these athletes with the coaches which are working in the club. But we are now really happy because we can get another coach for the pathway program, that he can work with them on more regular basis, because we think that athletes like these, to take them from a young age, that they didn't play a lot of table tennis before, to be a candidate to qualify for Paralympic Games, needs to happen between 6 and 8 years, not earlier. And if they qualify in this time, they have done a great job. Because I know that a lot of athletes are too nervous. They want to be Olympic winners in 2 years' time. And I can say to everyone here, sorry, these times are over. This was really 30 years ago. Now you need to first really fight to qualify for the Paralympics, and then even to take a medal, I think. So you need to be really talented player, doing everything right, practicing twice per day, do everything right, that you have a chance to be part of and to be a Paralympian, which is huge respect to everyone. And yeah, this is how we try to do the best way to get young athletes to the program and to keep them in the program, which I think so is even more difficult to do a lot of times.
Thank you for sharing about your pathway, and a very effective pathway. I would like to ask now Alois the question, which will be a little bit different question. We already touched that aspect now during our conversation, a very interesting discussion. I would like to ask you, what is the main quality that coach should possess while working with wheelchair athletes, and on the opposite, the main quality while working with the standing players and class 11. So,
I think. Thanks. Yeah. I think for a standing person working with a wheelchair athlete, I think the most important thing is trying to get as much information and trying to put yourself in that position and understand the wheelchair athlete as much as possible. You know, you need to be sitting in the chair. I mean, that's just touching, you know, the outside of it, but just starting to put yourself and try to get as much experience as you can of what they're feeling. The game, you know, can be quite similar as far as, you know, the ball and the hitting and all that sort of thing, but it's a different perspective from the wheelchair to standing. There's a lot of different things, and it's something that I, as a coach, am really starting to try to develop much more over these years. Trying to learn from my wheelchair athletes as much as I can. Ask them a lot of questions and try to immerse myself in that world. I don't think for me as a standing player it's easy to get that total understanding and get that total feel, and I don't think you'll ever get that total feel of what it is like to play as a wheelchair athlete. You know, I mean, if you don't have any abdominal muscle and things, I can't replicate that. I can't really feel what that feels like. You know, I can't really feel what it's like. But it's about trying to understand as much as you can. Then you can start to work on the skills. Then you can, once you've got that information from them, then you can you know, work on what is required as far as table tennis, as far as physical. You know, the mental side is similar. And I think you know, across all of the classes, it's understanding that all of these players are elite athletes and aiming to be elite athletes. So it's exactly the same again. You know, it's how do they become the best player they can be, utilizing all the skills that they have, and you know that they've all got that deep passion to want to succeed. How can you help them to do that? Whether they be a wheelchair athlete, a standing player, a class 11 athlete, whatever it is. I think there's lots more similarities across that, but I think for me as a standing person, player, understanding the wheelchair athletes is probably the biggest gap I have, and the biggest learning for me that I think can happen over the next 5 years or more as well.
I think, as I see, thank you for sharing that perspective and point of view. I will over to Omar, who has the last question in our panel discussion, because it's so interesting, but time is running and we would like to still take a few questions from our attendees. So over to you, Omar.
I will be moving a little bit as Tokyo is coming soon, so I will move to the Paralympics topic. So I will address my question to Ela. You had a huge success with the Polish team in Rio and made it to the second in the medal table after China. So with such great experience, how did you prepare with your team before Rio for such big event?
It's not a few days. It was a few years to preparing for Rio. But the truth is, from the beginning, when I started, it was the first Paralympic was 2004, and in 2004 it was the first time Natalia Patyka win the gold medal in age 15. So it was a really clear information for all the others. We can work with the young players, and we can prepare them for the really top level. So few years work. It was really step-by-step working, and around the Natalia it was a few other persons, and also we found a really big group, about 20 young players, age 11, 13. And we work with them every month, because we had the center like Gorazd in Great Britain. So we make something like camps for a week, for 2 weeks, for 10 days, and every month. And it was something like input, like option of the work a little bit better than at home, because at home it's not always perfect practicing. So then it was almost natural selection. The best of the players, they were better and better, and we practicing and then compete in a different kind of competition, of also European and the World Championships. And when I remember, as I remember, in 2008, the Paralympic in Beijing, the 16 or 17 years old player, class 8, Piotrek Grudzień, he won the medal. So it was a really good group of young persons, very motivated, and that was a really big process. It was not just 1 year. But of course, if you want to ask me about the last year, how it was, it's like always during the season. Beginning, a lot of the physical preparation, then much more specific table tennis practicing, and always good mental training. Because the truth is, for now, how Gorazd said, the level of the para table tennis is really high. It's not joking. It's not fun. It's an elite sport for now. So if two players almost at the same level, they meet each other at the table, in my opinion, always win the persons who is better prepared mentally. So that's a very important factor of the last moment when you have a good team and the good staff and everything is working correct. You have to remember about every single detail of the preparation.
Thanks a lot, Ela, for sharing your great experience, of course. I want to direct the same question to Gorazd. Of course, you had a very successful also event in Rio with 2 gold medals in singles and 1 bronze medal in team. So how do you prepare your team for Tokyo, especially at these difficult times of the pandemic?
Obviously, it's a really difficult time, and it's not only for us, it's the whole world. And how we have done it, when it was a lockdown in Great Britain that nobody could access anymore any of the playing halls, we had started to not losing the time, and also for the athletes, because we did know that this will start to be a little longer time with the COVID situation. We start to do physical preparation with the athletes through Zoom. The SSC coaches and physiotherapists and everyone was in contact, and the coaches with the athletes back home from the Zoom. And then after 2 months and a half, it was also because we was thinking when the athletes are coming back to the hall after 2 months or 2 months and a half, they will have a problem with physical preparation, and they could get injured if they would be not really well prepared physical. But we saw that this will be a longer time. That's why I try the program was trying to send every athlete possible that they had to space a table with a robot that they could start also to play on the table, and the coaches was with them coaching on the Zoom, like I say, and we have continued with these at least for 6 months. And then when obviously it was also a big call for our psychologist, Andy, to be in contact with the athletes most of the time to see how they are. We was checking, everyone in the program was checking on athletes and staff, obviously, how they're doing and everything. And yeah, when it was starting to be open in the halls, the athletes was coming back to training. We started really slowly because obviously this was after 6 months, starting a session maybe to have only 45 minutes the first day or first week, and then to increase the time by end of the month in 1 month time to get back so much as possible to normal 2-hour session per day. But yeah, I think so the good part was done, that nobody who was coming back was injured on the table, because my worry was massively the first month how much injuries we will get, because we're still talking here about para-athletes, which is much more difficult to do. And then obviously we have started to do some training camps, not in Britain, but in Slovenia, in Laško, to go first time out. It was the first time in November last year to see if it's even possible to travel, to see if it's possible to practice abroad. And we had done a bubble in the hotel of Laško and to have a training in the convention center, that we were staying all in the hotel and practice, and there was about 12 players, not more. And I think so mentally wise, this was very, very important for the athletes to go out of the country, to go somewhere else, and that we could see on the end that everyone was safe. Obviously, we have done a lot of PCR tests, and you can imagine me to be there 9 days with the athletes, only thinking about the COVID situation. If somebody is positive, I didn't sleep for 9 days. I don't think so. I slept 10 hours because my thing was only what happened if somebody is positive, because then all the tricky situations started. Obviously, great, the first training camp went well. We had also some other countries there, which was okay. Everyone was saying to me that I'm crazy, but I say, look, I know that sometimes I'm crazy, but I'm crazy to help the athletes to be on the same and to do the right thing for them. And yeah, it was looking on the end when we had the chats with athletes one-to-one. They say they was helping them massively to get back motivated and everything. That it's starting also with the tournaments, because they think when they know they can start to travel, that it will start also this. And then we continue with the training camps in Slovenia in January, March also, with a little bigger number, and everyone was really happy with this, motivated. And I think so it was not so much about training, but it was so much about mentally wellness, to get back mentally that it's possible to travel, it's possible to compete. Is the Paralympic Games will go ahead. Now also to have the qualification tournament, it's very, very important for the athletes and for staff, because we are all excited. But if you say to me, first, what do you think about Tokyo? I think so Tokyo will be the most unpredictable tournament that I ever saw in my life, because obviously you don't compete against other players. There is not competitions going on for a longer time. You don't know what the other countries are doing. But I say always, we can control only what we can control, and this is ourselves. We need to be the best prepared as possible, and the other countries will do what they need to do. But I think so we are looking for a great Paralympic Games in Tokyo, great competition, and I'm really looking forward for the matches, because personally I think the high level there will be incredible, and I want these to show to the whole world what para-athletes can do. Because the para-athletes, yes, they are para-athletes, but they're still playing table tennis, and they are more professional than a lot of Able-Bodied players that I saw in my life. I'm sorry I get a little out of the direction, but this is when I start to talk about passion and about everything, and I want to do everything right for my athletes and everything, and I'm so excited about my athletes, about my staff, and about myself, to see everyone back so much as possible in Slovenia, Laško, and to get even maybe a drink with somebody, I think so will be massively.
Well, thank you so much, Gorazd. We can see the passion, and we can see how excited you are, of course, for the Paralympic Games. And now I want to direct the same question to Alois. You were able to clutch a silver medal in class 11 with Samuel von Einem in Rio. for such a big victory for Australia. How do you prepare for Tokyo, and what are your goals?
Yeah, so yeah, that was for us. That was a huge moment for Australian para table tennis to be able to win that silver medal. And I think it's interesting. There's a lot of connection because the way Sam actually lives from me about 8-hour drive or 1.5 hour plane trip. He lives there, I live here, and we've developed our training over Zoom prior to 2016. So in some ways we were actually lucky when this all happened, because we had processes in place that we were able to utilize straight away. But I mean, with Sam, he's a highly motivated athlete. Initially, when we started to think about training players over Zoom, over video, I thought, no, that's impossible, can't work. That I need to be there. I need to be in the hall. I need to be touching the hall. But it's amazing the things that can be achieved. And I think now the whole world has seen the amazing things that you can achieve over a screen. I mean, maybe I'd still like to be in the hall all the time, but I think, we as people, I think we've learned how to adapt to these situations over these last few years. And so this last year and a bit has been a lot of that. It's been a lot of communicating with our players. We're having regular whole team meetings where we check in with each other. That wellness piece, as Gorazd was saying, is really important. Has been really important over the last year and a bit, to be able to make sure that all of our athletes, feel comfortable, feel safe, still, just tweaking their motivation, keeping their eye on Tokyo, which isn't easy when you're locked down in your house for 3 months. It's not easy to think about Tokyo. If you're getting the opportunity to hit against a robot for hours a day and going crazy at home, Tokyo seems a long way away. But I'm really proud of our group of athletes and team and the way that they've been able to manage it and been able to support each other as well over this last year. That's been really important to each of them, and to watch that has been, I've been extremely proud of the Australian para team and how well they've been able to do that. So then moving, towards Tokyo now in Australia, we're actually very lucky. There's no lockdown. We're quite free to move around in Australia with training, and being able to do all of that is good. We aren't able to move out of Australia that easily, but trying to set up as much as we can within our boundaries. Working with our able-bodied athletes as well has helped a lot. And table tennis being the one sport makes that a lot easier for us. So really looking forward to Tokyo. Just keeping fingers crossed that things can progress, things keep moving in the right direction. That I think for us, the first success will be getting all of our athletes there to the start line, healthy, ready, and able to compete, and for them to walk away from Tokyo, proud of their own achievement, whatever that is. I think for me is number one. Medals will, they will come or they won't come. That's a higher power than me to say what's going to happen there. But But yeah, for me, it's, making sure that we can get all of our athletes safely there, and give them that opportunity to perform at their best over there.
But Alois, of course, we all we're keeping our finger crossed, and we wish all the best for you in Tokyo. Now I will be passing the floor to Kasia.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you to all our guests sharing now the experience in the time before Tokyo. Actually, we will enter now in the question and answer part of the webinar, and hope we will all appreciate this few minutes more that we dedicate for a few questions from our attendees. I would like to start with the prior webinar question from Mark Palmer from Great Britain, and I would like to direct this question to Ela. The question is, in regards to tactics and techniques, how do you feel the wheelchair game has developed, changed over the last 10 years? Has this changed coaching style?
Gorazd said a few minutes ago about professionalism, about the start of the game, and that's why in every single group, not only in wheelchair classes, we have a really big progress in age classes, and the wheelchairs for now, in my opinion, it's for sure it looks like better practicing with really professional coaches or persons who can help. And that's why we can see so good games and so many a little bit modified techniques from class 1 to 5 when we talk about the wheelchairs. So yes, I am sure it's a much big difference. It's about the quality of the practicing at home.
Thank you, Ela. And Mark, I hope your question has been answered. And the next question we receive actually from our friend from ITTF, Pablo Perez. So best regards to you, Pablo. And I would like to direct your question to Gorazd. The question is, para-athletes' prestige and exposure to media has improved in the last years. I wonder if coaches focused on para are also receiving more respect from other coaches, or on the contrary, you're still seen as a coaches from minor leagues.
Yeah, thank you, Pablo, for the question. Yeah, I think so. Like I say, I think so. Para table tennis in general, I think so, is getting more media traction, which is great to know, and I think so everyone deserves it also to get more media, because like I say, the athletes that we have, para athletes around the world, they are great athletes and they deserve to get all the attention that they can get, because like I say, my heart is always playing when I see how they're playing, which performances they can put on the table, and yeah, it's great to see this. I will say, I will be open, like I'm always honest about this. I don't think so that a lot of everybody coaches are respecting the para coaches the way that they should, to be honest, because I personally think, I will say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was really a little respect, but now I think so we get the respect, and I think so we deserve to get respect, and I think so we was working very hard to show that what we can produce, and the athletes are our, I will say, our seeing what we can do. And I can see now, for example, I will say something that I'm really proud on, that, for example, I'm working really closely also with Andrea Oyster-Shakurh and Jože Urh from Slovenia, from the Olympic side of table tennis. And if Katerina will allow me, I would like to say a small story to see how the para-athletes and the programs are getting the respect by everybody also, more and more. We had a training camp before Rio in Slovenia, and the Olympic national team was taking part. With Darko Jorgic was there, which we know who is Darko Jorgic at this moment, one of the top 30 players in the world. And he was practicing with my para-athletes from Britain before he went to European Championship in Luxembourg team event. And he was beating the first time Aucharo on the tournament. And he texted me after the win and saying, "Thank you, Gorazd, that I could win Aucharo." And I say, okay, I didn't understand really the message. That's why I called him and said, "Darko, what do you mean with this?" I say, "Look, Gorazd, I was part of one of your session with a couple of para-athletes. They gave me so much bigger motivation because they're training so harder that we are training. And I was so much more motivated to be focused on my game and everything that it was helping me massively with my mindset to get there. And when I was playing against Aucharo, I had in my head a lot of times the training, especially with Will Bailey, because he's trying to play every ball 200 miles per hour. He's trying very hard, and that this was helping him a lot. This was my first recognition that somebody on this level or scale was saying the thank you or how great is para table tennis. And to make it shorter now, I will say the respect we're getting now also from the coaches, because I always say a lot of times in the past, I will not name the names, please come to one of the session, run the session for para-athletes when you have a class 1, when you have a class 3, when you have a class 5, when you have class 6, 7, 9, 10, all together in one class, how you will run the session. I had about 7 coaches coming, and good Olympic coaches that was coming to me and say, "Well, how I do it?" I said, "Look, you have it, try to do it." And they could not do it because obviously they didn't know about how to run a session, what to be careful, how to do it. And when they started, it was like a standing player with wheelchair and different classes. It was really not working. And I think so now in this time, and I will say also here back to para table tennis and ITTF, because a lot of help of them also, I think so we're getting the respect back. And I will say I'm talking about myself, Katerina, here. I get a lot of calls to run Able-Bodied clubs or whatever to take another job. I'm so happy with my job to be part of para table tennis that I think I will finish in para table tennis, I hope, because me as a coach, obviously I'm very happy where I am in this moment, but I will tell you how I could go to coach everybody in this moment when I had players that when I make multi-balls to them, when she had totally blue hand, because she was falling on the table on multi-ball because the muscles was not working that she could stay in the wheelchair. But she never say, "Can I stop this? I'm hurt, I have problems, I have pain." No, she have done it on daily basis. This player could push more than 1,000 balls back on the table. My father, who was 6 times European champion and also in the world also, was coming to the session and say, first he was crying, and I said, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Because I never saw something like this. So professional athletes, they're working so hard." He did take a gold medal. Then obviously we have standing players like Will Bailey. He take a gold medal in Rio, but not because it's Will Bailey, but because he's so hard working athlete that he conduct his life for table tennis and trying to do everything right that he have a chance on the end. And to make proud everyone in Britain that this is. But for me, it's very difficult to talk about this because I'm really a passionate person about table tennis, about para table tennis. And like I say, I have 2 families. One family is back home in Slovenia. Another family is back in Great Britain. And then I have now the 3rd family, obviously, is the para table tennis around the world because we are one big family altogether. But I want to say thank you to Pablo for this question, because I can also say that Pablo and our chairwoman, Tina Krota from Para Table Tennis, I know they are also part. They have done a great job where we are now, and I will say thank you to ITTF because we was getting more professional than we was ever before. And when Ella was saying that we're getting better and better about the performances, it's all together. For example, I just want to say everything is starting to be more professional. ITTF support, PTT, tournaments are getting better. We have better qualified people working with athletes around the world. That's why the standard is going up. And I can tell you the standard didn't stay. It will go even more and more up. And if I want to say also something very quick. Me as a person, because you're saying I achieved the medals. No, I didn't achieve the medals. The medals was achieved by the athletes. I was only trying to help them so much as possible. But I would be nobody with my team behind, with my coaches, head coaches, supporting staff, my board, my chairwoman, which Karen Tong, which was believing in this. We had the same goal, the same vision. And when you have the same goal, the same vision, and you're working towards your goal all together, that we know everyone who is doing what, then on the end, it must be a success. That's why this is my opinion. And we will get even bigger respect from everyone, believe me, because they know what we're doing and where the level is going up all around the world.
Thank you, Gorazd, for inspirational answer. And obviously, the respect is well earned and very much deserved.
And I can also say, I respect everyone around the world, everyone, because we try to do the best for the athletes. But yeah, and we know how passionate we are, all coaches which are working for para table tennis. And yeah, and not only para table tennis, but also, like I say, Pablo, like everyone who is involved, we are all have our heart with para athletes.
Omar, I would pass to you for the last one.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Gorazd, for sharing such a great experience. My last question is from the audience. The question is from Lucas Jerka. I want to address this question to Alois. The question is, are there any aspects of the game which a wheelchair player can work on better while playing against a standing opponent? Even though the player's main focus is, of course, only wheelchair competitions?
Yeah, I think, yeah. The biggest thing, I suppose, is maybe being able to get a faster ball or a higher quality ball from a standing player. So I think that aspect is one area. But even saying that, from a standing player, the ball comes at them from a different trajectory, slightly different, slightly higher. So, you know, for me, the top is to be able to train with another strong wheelchair athlete. But then, yes, if you haven't got that, then be able to play with a standing player that can give you a higher quality ball that comes at you, can definitely be useful for you.
But Alois, actually, that was the last question from my end. Now I'll pass again to Kasia.
Thank you. Yes, we arrived till the end, and it's time to wrap up our webinar. But first of all, I would like to really appreciate and thanks very much our fantastic guests for sharing their time, experience, expertise, and also inspire us. It was wonderful to discuss this topic, especially having in mind in front of us the World Qualification Tournament in Slovenia and also Tokyo Paralympic Games. So thank you very much to three of you. And also thanks to our all attendees. I hope you enjoy the session, get some takeaways. And that's all from my end. Thank you very much. Pass to you all.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for being with us today. And of course, I want to thank our amazing panelists for sharing a huge experience. And of course, we always wish you the best of luck in the future. Also, I want to thank all the audience who were with us today. It was our pleasure to have you. And of course, stay tuned for our next webinar in May. Thanks a lot.